has actually been pointing out to over 7,000 youth that will be skilled annually with this State House program. But with the insight here, we have an official from USSIA, Mr. Walusembi, who is actually highlighting something to do with what the government should rethink, because he says government should rethink on the strategies of skilling up the youth, because the young people or the youth form up the largest number of the population in Uganda. And it's beyond that, but it is within that background that the government realized it is important to skill them up to curb the situation of unemployment that is rising more and more in the country. All right, now let's have a look at the SMB insight here regarding the Youth Skill Up program by the government.
Part of the skilling strategy that government is having, it is a very good initiative. And this is where we as a country should be looking at in terms of bridging the gap of our skilled labor. And also having bridging the gap of unemployment in Uganda. When you look at the previous strategies, we've been having more of government focusing on issues to do with security and governance and all that. But here government is now focusing on skilling, which is quite not new, but for Uganda as a country, we strengthening the enterprises also to train. One, as government takes this initiative, we need to look at how curriculum is actually being developed, inclusively putting in place that, these persons that we are skilling are going to be working into the enterprises or the businesses that are actually coming up, especially the small businesses. So government should look at what are the skills that are needed. So looking at the labor market scans, looking at the employable skills and what they are going to train. So importantly, this curriculum development should be inclusive in terms of the stakeholders, which the assessment bodies, the associations like USSIA that are going to be employing these young people that are being trained. After the curriculum, we also need to look at the linkage. Which linkages are there for us to be able to, for example, if skilling is done, what are the areas of skills upgrading? How do these skills that we are training lead into formal education? So that ladder should be drawn clearly with the assessment bodies, that if I'm being assessed with the workers' pass, how do I take up steps in terms of skills upgrading? Maybe go to a vocational training institute, and later also be a master, maybe at the university level. So government should be able to look at that linkage. We also need to look at our trainers who are going to be giving the skills. Are they at the level of training? Do they have the skills? How do we bridge this skills gap in the trainers? Through skills upgrading. We have areas of our trainers, for example, in the enterprises, who actually have the competencies that have been assessed. How do we bridge the gap that the trainers that are going to be training are also getting the same skills, so that the youth that are being trained and are coming out of the training centers have the right skills to be accommodated where they're going to be employed? We actually also need to look at, in terms of the equipment and the facilities that we have. Government has, in the previous years, has actually equipped most of the training centers, the vocational training centers, in the central but also across the country. However, there has been a challenge. Most of these equipment are seated down. They are not working. Why? The trainers or the persons that are supposed to run these are not able. They don't have the skills. So the machines have actually been sitting. So it puts a question to us: are we ready for this? If no, how do we train our technicians to be able to run these machines in the long run, can be able to train the persons they are actually intending to train using these machines? Because technology is changing. How is government ready to embrace technology as it changes? This is a cost, and they actually also need to look at it. If technology is changing, are we ready also to train our trainers based on the technology that is changing? And this, you will find that the people who are going to absorb the people that we are training with these skills are actually changing with the technology. These are the artisans. These are the people who are going to employ. So basically, if the trainers and the vocational training institutes and the training centers don't change within the trends, you'll find that we are having half-baked persons coming into employment. And this gap will actually be remaining in the long run. It will be very big. When we look at the facilities, we also want to look at, for example, if somebody is going to train carpentry, or is going to train metal fabrication, or domestic electricity, what are the safety and precautions? Is government looking at that? Are we looking at our people who are going to train being safe, where they are going to train from? Are we looking at disposal, the environment itself? Where are we disposing some of these issues, these areas of the offcuts, the saw machines and all that? Can we be able to look at those in the first run? Safety is very key, environment is very key as we move on. So those are areas of concern that government should be looking at, but also sustainability at the end of the day. We are training, yes. Government should be able to look at the sustainable ways of bringing this training into place. Working with enterprises, working with associations like Uganda Small Scale Industries Associations, working with our trainers as well. Because you see, as government brings on this, it is also should be able to promote the enterprise-based skills training approach, which is also bring a lot of training and certification at the end of the day. So these are areas that we are looking at, but also importantly, government should also look at how do we equip, how do we support people who are employing these small-scale industries that are employing these young people they are training. Because these young people are supposed to come in for internship, understanding more of the world of work, but also employment bit. So how do we support these people to take on more that are being trained from their centers into the world of work, which is actually going to actually increase their income as young people? So as we look at unemployment, we should look at both ends. When we look at the certification bodies, how do we mandate but also build capacity of the assessment bodies? For example, Director of Industrial Training and the Ministry of Education. Can we be able to give it more capacity, more resources, to be able to have the right certification, review these curriculums that we're talking about? Because at the end of the day, what we need is a quality worker, a person who is ready to work, a person who is ready to embrace the world of work. So as long as we can be able to foot some of those areas that we've actually mentioned, then we can say we are ready for scaling. Association, one of our biggest areas of concern is the scaling. And you see, as an association, we don't just scale, but we scale for our members. So we take a lot of precaution as we take these young people into the training. So one, we make sure that the persons training are actually trained. But even before we train them, we look at which trades are employable. So we've gone ahead to do labor market scans to understand. And these are not a one-off. We've been able to review and see which are the most marketable skills, which are the most employable skills, and which are those that can actually generate, easy to start, but also generate income at the end of the day. So after that, we identify these people that are actually going to be able to train people. Those are the trainers, the training providers. So we say, where are you? After identifying where you are, we also look at your capacity to train. And then we go ahead and train them in pedagogy and andragogy. This is the skill that supports them to handle these young people. You know, they are young adults. And then after that, we also take them through life skills. We take them through mentorship and coaching, entrepreneurship. These are actually key skills that a trainer also needs to have as they do the training. So after that, we do the technical training. And when we are doing the technical training, we actually support these young people with material, because they do hands-on. When a youth is actually trained hands-on, they also understand the trade they have chosen. That if I'm a metal fabricator, I really need to get this torch and do the welding. It's not a theoretical part of it. So as an association, we've gone through that practicality of training, but also after that, we've also gone ahead and taken them through entrepreneurship. As you are training, what is your end goal? Do I need to start a business? Yes. So if I need to start a business, what do I need to have in place? And second, if I'm going to get employed, how do I need to conduct myself at the workplace? So those are the areas that we look at. Entrepreneurship is key, and this is where businesses also need to understand that you might have a technical skill, but if you don't have entrepreneurship, you don't have the life skills to make sure that your customers are ready to take on your products, to be able to have friendship, to be able to work along with groups, then business fails. Then the next thing is we've been able also to, they have been able to undergo what they call assessment with DIT. As much as we're looking at training, but we're looking at them being certified, competence-based. What can you do? If you're looking for a job, can you be able to show a paper that shows that you can actually do this? So with DIT and under the Ministry of Education, we've been able to assess some of these young people. But of course, as we also train, we look at how do they start. That is the post-training support. How do they start these businesses? So we look at a lot of support at the starting stage, looking at giving them some startup kits, supporting them with business management. How do I keep my books of records? How do I brand myself as a business? How do I register my business? How do I conform with taxes, with URA? Of course, that is information that is all given. And then we also support them, bring these services closer to them so that they can actually also go ahead and formalize their businesses. We've been also able to link them to financial services. Finance is a very big problem for these young people, but also the most SMEs that they start businesses. Where do I get affordable finance? So as an association, we came up with what they call a USSIA circle. We have a USSIA circle for members. It is a circle where members save, and they can be able to get capital finance that goes into their business at a very cheap rate. Because we understand manufacturing, it is not trading. So we also give that a grace period for them to pay. We understand they take long to manufacture, but also we monitor them in terms of their finances, the input, but also the output at the end of the day. Marketing is key. We've been able to prepare these guys to be able to get ready for the markets. As you hear, the Africa is open. Africa Continental Free Trade Area is open. So if we don't prepare our SMEs to be ready for market, if goods come in here, they will not be able to sell. So we are saying, how do? We training them in digital marketing and literacy, understanding the use of internet to market products. By the end of the day as well, as an enterprise, how ready are you? If you're into food processing, how ready are you to have standards? If you're into metal, how ready are you to have quality input that makes your products also quality at the end of the day? How do you handle your customers? Who are your customers? So marketing is key, and this is where we think if government also looks at this as very critical, then I think these businesses are going to stand, they are going to run at the end of the day. So with all that, also we do a lot of partnerships with district local governments to see that our young people are being looked at critically. How is government supporting this? How can they be able to get finances of maybe these little grants that come with WEP or Youth Livelihood Program? Now we have the PDM, Parish Development, that is actually also going to support these people from the grassroots. And we believe as USSIA, we are key in supporting some of these initiatives. And we are also pushing them to be ready for these programs that government is putting on board. So basically, these are some of the areas that we've been able to do. But also monitoring. You see, the sustainability bit of it all is for you to be in touch with these young businesses as they grow. Because Uganda is one of the best countries in bringing up these businesses, but we are also the worst at making them thrive in 3 or 4 years. So what do? We do monitoring of these young people because at this level we are not saying they are youth that have been trained. We are saying they are entrepreneurs, they are small businesses, they are business people. So we still support them within our database, our membership database, to see that their businesses are growing. And we link them to these opportunities that come along over the way. So we need to look at sustainable ways. So after the training, then what? Can they be able to link into these associations that support small businesses? And then we can see them grow, we can get for them markets, we can actually monitor them and see that they are also employing other youth at the end of the day. You see, skilling is quite an expensive venture, and this is where also government should actually put its footnote. And it's also dependent on certain sectors. For example, if I'm training a youth in metal fabrication and I really want them to be practical at the end of the day, it is more expensive than a hairdresser. So basically, government needs to put in more funds in terms of monitoring, in terms of skilling and equipping the centers where they are going to be, in terms of skills transfer, government needs to look at also which kind of skills that maybe are not in the country. We have a lot of our skilled persons that have gone abroad and they're doing quite good work. Can they be able to come back and skill our young people? Can they be able to transfer this skill to the trainers? Can they be able to also do foreign direct investment here in terms of industries? So this is where government needs to also look concretely. There is a lot that ministry also needs to do in terms of allocation of funds, especially to bodies that are doing certification, but also the enterprises that are actually taking on the internships, that are doing mentorship and coaching. You see, mentorship and coaching is also a long way to go, where businesses need to understand how other businesses started and how they have been able to thrive. This is where government also needs to look at. Where are my best industries? What are they doing? How were they started and how are they moving? Can we be able to have some footnote in there in terms of funding, so that these grown-ups can be able to nurture and move with these small ones, to have the backward linkages and the forward linkages. So in terms of monetary units, I think these are areas of where Ministry of Finance needs to look at concretely, with the committees that are in the working groups and committees that are actually technically looking at scaling. And I believe if we capitalize some of these bodies and also prioritize the scaling component, I think Uganda will be a better place to live.
All right, skilling up the young people is very vital and important in the perspective of doing business in Uganda, because pretty much as far as the government is concerned, is that the young people who actually have the most unemployed in the country are the youthful ones and still energetic, and therefore we need to help them and support them. And this initiative by State House is to ensure that these young people get jobs or get skilled up or get the opportunities to strike, definitely in that perspective. So with that particular report, we get more of the updates after the break. Stick around. This is Part Main's Business, and I'm Jerome Paul Sanko.